Hey folks, so this is going to be not necessarily a review video, but if you're thinking about purchasing the Mora Garberg in stainless, I don't know if I can really speak to the carbon, but the topic that I'm going to talk about today, or the issue rather that I'm having, doesn't necessarily pertain to the blade material as more as to the sheath that you get when you purchase the Mora Garberg. So, like I said, it's not really a review of the total system and the other MOLLE compatible kit that comes when you purchase the sheath, but just more or less what I've experienced within, the half of year time frame that I've had this knife, and some of the issues. So, getting into it now. As far as the knife is concerned, it is a wonderful knife. I did opt to go with the stainless over the carbon. Just for the maintenance aspect. I just wanted to be able to sharpen my knife. I know it takes a little bit more because it's stainless to really hone that edge when you need to, but that didn't bother me much. And I did opt for the doing the dangle as opposed to the MOLLE capable system that comes with it, just because I don't necessarily plan on always having this on my pack and having to take it off to get my knife. I really just want to be able to have this at my side and pulled out when I need to. Now, when you purchase the Mora, they do give you an option for a leather sheath, and I think that you will pay more for the leather sheath than you will with this plastic sheath. And as I am a fan of leather tools and material, but the thing that I didn't like about it is that it did have that flap, and I just felt like it would constantly be annoying to having to open that flap and just to get my knife out and put it back in and try to make sure the flap's not in the way, and also if it's not gusseted right toward the end, you do always take a chance of if the knife's going in at a weird angle, you puncture that. So I just kind of didn't want to mess with that. I really liked this system. Now, this is the first Mora knife that I've ever had, and how these actually work is there is a small divot in the knife right there, and that there are two divots inside the sheath that catches on. So when you go, should kind of just snap in. And at first, that was fantastic. And what I've kind of noticed with using this almost every day or every other day, having it on me or with me, is that retention is not quite, still, it's still tactile, you can hear it, but that retention is not quite where it used to be when it was brand new. So I almost wish it was a little bit stiffer, because the main problem that I'm having, and that also might speak to the length of the dangle. I know it's a little bit larger to compensate a larger belt, but the problem is I've had it where you think it's in all the way or it's gone in all the way, but if you move or crouch a certain way, it kind of tips on that dangle, and the knife just slides straight out. And no big deal, but what happened is a couple times that's fallen out, and it's actually it has put a small chip in my blade right there from falling out, and also damaged the tip a little bit from where it's fallen out. And that, after spending a good half an hour working on this blade, honing it when I needed to after it lost that initial edge, that was super disheartening, because you take a lot of pride in this, you take a lot of effort, you make sure that you're really trying to hone that blade and get it nice, and then for a failure in the sheath to not necessarily secure the knife and for it to fall out as easily as it has, the 2 or 3 times that it has, and in one case fallen out to a point where it actually just from the height of my hip fallen and damaged the blade, was super disheartening. So down the road there might be, I'm going to try to think of a solution. It might just be adding a small piece of tape there to kind of increase that retention, but I was really disappointed with that. So it's, overall the knife is great. The system that it comes with is really cool, it's versatile, but it's just, I don't have 100% confidence in the sheath, in that if I had to run, or if I had to climb up a steep slope, or you know, if I was on my side, the knife wouldn't come out. I'm always now consciously making sure that, you know, I'm holding that knife on my side if I have to jog or run or move around something, or I'm afraid it might fall out. So, you know, that's just one thing to consider. Also, because this is kind of a 6 month, you know, things to consider with this knife. So at first, that micro bevel that comes on this knife, because it is a true, it's a Scandinavian grind, but when you get it from the factory, it actually comes with a slight micro bevel, and that's something that a lot of people complain about. And at first I didn't think, you know, okay, yeah, it's not really that big a deal. But why I think people are complaining about it is because after it loses its initial sharpness off that micro bevel, and you start to try to sharpen this, that micro bevel actually kind of works against you when you're trying to hone on that natural Scandi contour that's there. You know, so that really first and second sharpening, you're still trying to work away that micro bevel that's there to get this edge, and that is kind of a pain in the ass. But after, you know, 2 or 3 good sharpens, or I know some people just, you know, straight out of the box when they get it, they go to try to remove that micro bevel. That wasn't me. I feel like that was unnecessary at the time. But it is something that you're going to be working against when you go to sharpen. Now, in hindsight, you know, would the 2 factors so far that I've pointed out make me reconsider buying this knife? No, not at all. This is still an excellent knife. I've really used it. I wouldn't say I've abused it, but I have put it through the ringer. I'm not afraid to be more physical with this knife, to baton it, to have it do the tasks that I need it to do. You know, even making feather sticks out of oak and really hard material, I've been able to do with this knife. So that's all I got for you today. If I do come up with some kind of way to kind of increase the retention here, then I will maybe post an update or show you whatever mod I came up with. Another thing to consider, and this is something that I know another guy in a video had pointed out, is that when you get this, it comes with your dangle, but it also comes with another sliding piece, right? That slides onto this portion here that has a retention loop. That's fantastic, but you can't really use, you can't stack these systems. You can't use the retention loop up top. It has to be up top to be able to go over the knife. It's just not long enough if it was underneath. That retention loop has to be on top, and then if your dangle sits underneath that, it's just not the same thickness, so it slides. In the future, I think you know, Mora might, you know, consider making this portion here just a little bit thicker, or making some way that this you could also get any of these rings to kind of snap into position here, or, you know, how it snaps into position at top, because then you could use that retention strap in combination with this loop, and that would kind of secure that problem of this not being securely in the sheath, which is a big deal. So, all right guys, that's all I got. Thanks.